I have no time for your pathetic attempts at small talk. Now, walk away before I get nasty.
This is the tale of the malicious murder of the powerful dark elf mage, Alval Uvani, and exploring his hidden and bizarre dialogue you've probably never heard. After assassinating the Argonian in the flooded mine, we're directed by our journal to our next contract, which reads, Shalise is dead. I must pick up my reward and next contract at the dead drop located in the coffin, just outside of the ruins of Fort Redmond. We find the crumbling fort located between Breville and Leyawen, and have heard whispers of vampires that have taken up residence there, hence the macabre display of bodies near its front entrance to ward off any unwanted interlopers. Opening the propped-up coffin as instructed, we find our reward of 500 gold and 2 notes, the first being a schedule and the second our orders from Lucian, which we peruse while heading to our target, which reads, If you're reading this note, Shalise is dead. You've done the world a great service, Silencer. It's time to continue the good work. Your next target is a traveling dark elf merchant by the name of Alval Uvani, who is currently renting a house in the city of Leyawen. Uvani is a well-respected tradesman back in his native Morrowind, but his business often takes him very far from home. Therein lies the problem. Alval Uvani's wife has become disillusioned with her husband's repeated extended absences and wishes to dissolve their marriage, and has sought the Dark Brotherhood's assistance. Lucky for us, Cyrodiil is a bit beyond the reach of Morrowind's Morag tongue. Alval Uvani is currently traveling all around Cyrodiil and is never in one place for more than a couple of days. In this dead drop, you will also find a schedule detailing the Dark Elf's whereabouts. Use it to locate him and plan your elimination. Be aware, however, that because he is forced to travel alone to the farthest reaches of the Empire, Uvani has learned to defend himself. He is a master of the Destruction School of Magicka and is no stranger to killing. When Alval Uvani lies rotting, journey to the market district of the Imperial City. There you will find a shop called Stonewall Shields. Your dead drop is located behind that building in a hollowed-out tree stump. As usual, you will find your next reward for the previous contract, as well as information on your next. Ah, yes, I must mention one last detail. Apparently, Alval Uvani suffers from a rare dark elf condition, a serious allergy to honey. If you could somehow get Uvani to drink the honey-based spirit mead, perhaps by replacing his food, he would suffer from complete paralyzation. This would certainly make the Dark Elf a bit easier to deal with. With the Dark Elf's schedule in hand, we learn that we can find him wandering Cyrodiil at different locations on the following days, and thus stalk our prey for the opportune moment to pounce. On Maundus and Tyrdes, we find him in Breville at the Lonely Suitor Lodge. Of note, if we're part of the Thieves Guild, assaulting him here would net us no bounty. Midas and Turdus in Skingrad in the Westweald Inn. Fredus and Loridus in Bruma in Olav's Tap and Tack. And finally, Sundus in Leyawen. He can be found lounging in his aforementioned palatial rental. With our target in our sights, this is where the quest branches into 2 distinct paths which we will explore, with 1 facing the mage in the open, and 2 following the contract suggestion and spiking his drink, and then after which we will explore Uvani's questionable dialogue, which has been removed from the game. Opting to face the Dunmer out of sight of civilians, we first approach Alvul as he wanders the many roads of Cyrodiil. But before we have a chance to speak, he'll make it clear that he has no interest in conversing and threatens us, saying,
You get any closer and I'll turn your bones to ash. Back off.
If we further attempt to engage him in conversation, he will refuse to speak.
I have no time for your pathetic attempts at small talk. Now walk away before I get nasty.
Ignoring the conceited mage's boasting of his prowess, at our own peril, we opt to tell him his wife sends her regards.
By the 9 divines!
Before showcasing our skills with a blade. However, our mistake costs us dearly. Instead, if we follow the contract and face the deadly mage as instructed versus a full frontal assault, we await until Sundus when he's resting in his sprawling estate, and enter via the double doors thanks to a key we lifted off his person during one of his many stays at city's inns. Once inside, we head up the stairs to his living quarters on the 2nd floor. We then make a beeline through the dining area to his bedroom, where we locate a sleeping Uvani, not even disturbed by the light of our torch. Seeing the various weapons within reach, we gingerly grasp not his implements of death, but instead his cheap booze, replacing it with the sinister mead. We then about-face into the dining room and remove any foodstuffs, forcing Alvul to drink the deceptive nectar. Heading back to an almost comatose Alvul, we then look to search his pockets for any holdout flasks or foodstuffs, and instead pause in our tracks as we notice something off about the large painting above his bed, as we see it's a flimsy fake in such a beautiful estate. Lifting it, we discover a hidden safe with a very hard lock. Once broken, we plumb its forbidden contents and have a cold chill run down our spine in realization he's in possession of a Black Hand robe. As previously discovered during our execution of Jagasta, there are only 3 of these robes in the game, and outside of killing Lucien Lachance himself, these robes are actually accessible from the beginning of the game. Confused and angered, this filthy lech has probably murdered one of our kin. We shove our hand in his pants and squash the single blueberry that resides therein. Next, his blueberries. Now, with no nourishment bar the treacherous mead, we exit his room and slip into our shrouded armor in anticipation of his coming to. As predicted, we hear Ulvani rise for his day and sit in his chair to have a swig of ale, as he mistakenly imbibes the paralyzing mead. Much to our delight, we hear him cry out,
Can't move. Body frozen. Must have been the damn mead.
Testing the immobilizing effects, we loose a single arrow that whistles by his ear, and he doesn't move a muscle, but instead threatens.
For the love of Azura, can't a man have a bit of privacy? Get out of here!
Strolling up to the helpless elf, he warns in vain.
I'm warning you. Get out or I'll call the guards.
What's the matter, Uvani? Stuck?
No, you filthy gutter snipe. You won't get away with this. By Sithis, if I could only move my arms, I'd rip that smile right off your face.
We then take Alvul's trusty dagger.
Somebody help! Come quickly! We've got a burglar!
And begin to carve his flesh as he helplessly watches his gizzards being slashed with wanton swipes of his own blade.
There's no need... Hey, come on now! There's no need to get violent!
As he lies dead, our contract then updates, reading, I've killed Alvul Uvani. I must pick up my reward and next contract at the Dead Drop, located in the market district of the Imperial City, in a hollowed-out tree stump behind Stonewall shields. Once again, we feel a strange, hollow emptiness instead of the pulse of invigorating energy for snuffing out targets in service of the Dreadfather, and wondered to ourselves why the Dark Elf called upon Sithis during his slaughter. Was he the traitor? Are we now an internal executioner? But why isn't it mentioned in our contracts? Without Lucian to speak to and gain confirmation, we're left leaving the dead elf's estate more puzzled than before. And as promised, what was Alvil's hidden dialogue? Well, curiously, there are 2 unused lines of dialogue that exist for Alvil in the construction set that cannot be heard during normal gameplay. The first unused line is a greeting that cannot be heard since his other greetings take precedence over this line of dialogue. Originally, he would have introduced himself and, questionably, openly discussed his interests by saying,
Alval Uvani. I'm an evil wizard. I like blowing things up. And I have lots of time on my hands since I'm loaded with gold. So I blow things up, and burn them, and frost them, and shock the living daylights out of them. But I'm a smart, law-abiding evil wizard, because I only blow up my own stuff. So don't get any ideas about murdering me and looting my gold. Aside from the fact that I'll kick your ass, it's against the law, and you'll rot in jail for it. So, how do you like them apples?
The second unused line is his response to the Leyawan topic, which cannot be heard since he always exits dialogue immediately after conversations begin. When asked about the town, he would have mentioned that his neighbours complain about him a lot.
My neighbors grumble a lot, but what can they do? No law against practicing my skills. Thinking about sticking your paw in my pocket? Go ahead, I'll blow you to cream corn, and the law will love me for it.